And this brings me to my big topic, I suppose, of this week, which is Expédition 33.
Whoa, buddy. I don't. Oh, is anybody even playing that game? Oh
Man,
man.
2 million. So
Oh,
okay, so I've played a lot more. I am now at Act 2 of Clair Obscur.
you are now leagues beyond my ass. I've been taking it slow.
Okay. So
I got stuck in that gastro village for like 2 hours, bro.
I will so now we are seeing the timing of like stream time versus personal time. You know?
Yeah.
And guess what?
Usually it's stream time versus other guys' stream time, but now it's like,
yeah.
You're crushing this shit.
Well, because this is what everybody else watching gets to do, which is sit at home and just lock in, play, enjoy, go get dinner, play a bit more, and then be like, all right, cool, you know, and like get really far and do stuff because you're just pushing through it. So yeah, obviously I'm not going to spoil anything, but you know, just talking around it, the excellence continues and things escalate, and and Act 2 is a fun turning point. I think that the story of everything that has the way the story is presented continues to be as strong as the intro, right? So like I feel like that intro walking through the town is great for setting up characters, motivations, and establishing things, and that whole idea of being in the dark about what's happening. While not knowing what's going on, I love the conversations that the characters have with each other in regards to that, you know? The disagreements they have about like what to do, how to proceed when you don't know what the fuck is happening are extremely realistic. It's very believable, you know? And
which is crazy because it's a overtly fantastical setting.
Yes.
Like it is story picture book shit.
Yes, I also think that this is some of my favorite depictions of people being very human in a way where, how would I describe this? So I think that like there's a lot of instances of dialogue and things that, you know, so you can feel the flavor of the writer in dialogue in different settings, and you can kind of tell like, okay, if you're hearing Hades characters talking to each other, they're going to be a little bit sardonic, they're going to be a little bit sultry, you're going to hear that vocal fry, and they're going to kind of be quippy, you know, but then they'll have meaningful things they say, you know, and those moments will slow down, but for the most part, you're kind of like, there's an eyebrow raised as you're, you know, with the tone of the conversations, type of thing. And I feel like there's moments that happen where for in order for drama to be facilitated in a story, people have to kind of like get really like, they have to blow things out of proportion in some cases, or, you know, react very extremely given circumstances, and kind of like do things where you're like, oh god damn it, that's just going to lead to confusions and problems, and I'm
freaking out, I won't listen to you,
right? And you're kind of you're waiting on a just talk moment type of thing. And I feel like what you have here are characters that go through those moments and then like go, okay, wait, hold on, right? They second guess themselves, and or like there's a moment where things kind of calm down and they just kind of are like, yeah, okay, no, right, what you're saying makes sense, sorry. Which is like, yeah, people do that, right? People make decisions and then they stand on them sometimes, but other times they go like, wait, no, what you just said, I agree with you there. Or they're convinced, you know, and conversations are not just characters with a list of things that they feel bouncing in reaction to the world around them, and then the conversations don't really, you know, move people too much one way or the other. You know, I feel like you don't see enough moments of like people being convinced by things and or having back and forth uncertainty, you know, reflected in conversation in ways. I feel like there's a lot of times where you're like, well, I know what my game is, and I know I'm going to perhaps reveal this much truth, and then you know what your game is, and you're going to be like, I want my agenda no matter what.
Even from the very beginning, there's a real like, we're all in this shit together for realsies.
Yeah. For sure.
Most of our personal, like, ideological differences, we're going to bounce off of that in a attempt to be constructive at the very least.
And it's really interesting to be playing that in contrast to Cyberpunk, which I also love. But
Yeah,
but
it's
Cyberpunk,
not constructed for shit.
everybody's up to their own shit. No one can truly be trusted. And in moments where trust is happening, it's hard earned through either strenuous negotiation, force, or okay, god damn it, we're both gonna die if we don't work together right now, so fine. I don't care what you believe or what I believe, we have to get out of this alive, right? Which is what cinema tends to be in action movie kind of logic, in a way where it's just like, I don't agree with you, you don't like me either, but fuck it, that's a bigger problem, so let's deal with that. But and that's all fine given the setting and the world they're in. But I think for this one, where we're especially dealing with people that are familiar with each other and also have a sense of like time is urgent and of the essence and decisions matter, I keep thinking about the idea of how something with the setting here, of course, is that people don't have a lot of time. And when you get introduced to, I forgot the name of the race in Mass Effect, but the ones that are
Solarians.
Yeah, the Solarians that don't have a
They
lot
live
of
like
time.
30 years.
Exactly, right? So I'm like, what happens to humans with a Solarian thought process? You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, our metabolism hasn't changed at all, but socially, we're like
there's
old men.
An early detail when you're talking to Mael in the very first part of the prologue, where they're talking about the Gamage and how she doesn't have to come because she's like 16, right? And they're going on Expedition 33, and he's like, well, yours isn't going to be for another 9 years. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would it be because as you're going up one,
yes,
it's going down one. So this is becoming super, super fucking dire, like right away. They only have like 5 more years to solve this before it is you're sending over 14-year-olds.
Yes, no, you have to do the math and meet in the middle on where your young age is and where time will catch up to you. It goes up, you go down. Sorry, you go up, it goes down, and you eventually hit that, your finale point. So anyway, so all that to say that there's some I just really like the conversations the characters have with each other, and they feel very believable and well thought out, and even in brief, in moments of just like mild disagreement going along with each other and then discovering more together. The party overall is great and a whole lot of fun. Now, that being said, of course, the gameplay is fucking immaculate.
Incredible.
And, we have described the defensive systems, which involve, learning how to dodge attacks. And then when you're feeling confident in the timing, go for a parry. And then, you individually parry all the hits and you get like a nice big counter, which is a huge payoff and makes hard fights easier. But you get
there's a detail to that I didn't pick up right away, which is if an enemy attacks like multiple separate characters, the last person to parry can do it by themselves and still get it.
Oh, you can get an attack that hits each person twice, or like 2 people twice. And if you get, let's say you have an attack that goes to rank 1 and then rank 3 and then rank 1 and then rank 3 again. If you fuck up rank 1 but perfectly nail the rank 3 parries twice, the rank 3 character will do their counter regardless. So so like it doesn't matter what's happening as a whole as much as when you're individually parrying with the characters. Hey, you got it perfect for the third party member. She's gonna do her counter even if you fucked up the first. That's awesome. And in terms of just like fucking hype, right? When I don't know if have you seen it when you parry with the whole team?
I sure have.
When the whole team parries together,
whole fucking gang, dude.
Right? You get the big sequence, and then instead of like Gustav counters or whatever, you get Expedition 33.
Expedition 33
performs
counters.
a counter, and you're like, oh, the whole team.
Yeah, man.
It's nice.
The game has been like so cool about all of its like gameplay mechanics in those fights. Like the 2 that come to mind is like the chromatic Nevron that is very, very, very early, like right before you even go to the water place, where it's like it will kill you in one hit. It's gonna kill you in one hit every time. So there's only one thing to do, and that's parry it 178 times in a row.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
It's the only way to do it.
And eventually you learn that timing. And if you're stubborn enough, like I am, you sit there and do it. You know?
Yeah, and then it tells you, hey man, here's how many times you parried.
Yeah.
Here was your total damage. Here was the amount of total damage.
Now, mimes and chromatic nevrons are fucking tiddlywinks compared to a real one that shows up later.
Yeah?
There's multiple levels of super boss, right? So
I love that.
You've got the ones we've seen, then you've got your fucking colossal titans, you know what I mean? And then you've got just like the don't even bother unless you're prepared to like this is just not realistic. You have the this seems insane like challenge that has introduced itself so far. And I sat there, I spent a bit of time with it, and then I did a couple of things where I'm like, okay, hold on, let me test the waters a bit. You see it looks impossible. Go back, change your build up, right? And that's like, are you committing to, you know, resetting all of your abilities, all of your skills, you know, bringing in the right party members?
I'm going to commit to it.
Give it your best shot. Does it still seem impossible? Absolutely. Okay, fucking hold on. This might be end game or never, you know? But yeah, there's like...
Unless you just bang it out.
But the level of deception on those parries and dodge timings gets so sinister. So
that
sinister.
Was my other one. Like we have delay stuff, we have stuff, but then there's also like there's an attack on a fairly early boss. It was the boss of the water area, and I got like it tricked me because they give you the jump tutorial.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you have to jump over moves, and they're like, if there's a move that you can jump over, it says there's a yellow flash. And then you fight that boss, and the first move it does is jump.
It jumps.
And I went, okay. So I hit the X button to jump, and then it hit me 5 fucking times in a row. Because it was just an attack called jump.
Simon didn't say jump, bitch.
Oh my God.
Simon.
Like you tricked me.
Simon, jump.
I was tricked and confused and bamboozled.
No, the enemy jumped and landed and hit the ground, you know? But yes, there is that jumping prompt where you've got to fucking time it, and then you get your air counter, which is super sick. And now you're paying attention to multiple little rhythm game, you know, things, which, you know what, considering I was talking about, like, you know, I love the gameplay in like Everhood and stuff like that. And yeah, let's have it be one genre on offense and one genre on defense. What a simple but brilliant, elegant thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, QTEing as well, which it's interesting because like some really good moves get really tricky timing with their QTEs, right? Like you'll notice that the timing for landing overcharge, which is Gustav's big blast palm, is much tighter than some of the others, you know, the window for landing it in the perfect zone. So like, yeah, they kind of do that as well in a couple different places, stacking them to overlap with each other. They do want it to be challenging to, like, you know, handle everything on offense and defense aside from the RPGing that you're doing in a, you know, pick enemy and attack kind of way. The times where you're aiming your gun to shoot the weak point and the weak point is kind of obscured and covered up, and you're like,
or like, you know, there was a boss that we had to beat on it for a while before the weak point was like no longer covered by a piece of armor.
Yeah, there's that, right? And shit, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, there's an enemy that jumps forward at one point and is just rocking you with like combos, right, lefts and rights, and you see they do like a hook and then like an uppercut, and then they jump forward and they fake the hook and then come with a cross, you know, and you're like, you just did a fake on me, and I went, and then got flattened. You straight up boxer style hook, you know, you twitched, bitch. It's great. It's a lot of fun. But when I was starting this, I brought up the we did it ourselves conversation with, like, you know, hey, we figured out in FromSoft or in the RE engine how to make our own little hut and how that looks. The one thing I'm going to say, many hours into Expedition 33 right now, that I think is So okay, I pray it's a flaw that is like uh, kind of bugs me, and it's not fully their fault for this, but it's this.
Okay.
When I praise how this game is understandably and reasonably double A, in that you can see, like I said, the map limitations are all very, targeted, and you can, even when it expands and you can get lost in a way, like it's still not anywhere like a giant crazy sprawling open thing. Even your overworld it's all very contained, which it needs to be for this to be a reasonable, affordable thing that is not suffer in quality because everything is bloated out with filler, right? So that is great. There is a feeling that you get that is just it's an unfortunate byproduct of Unreal Engine generated like static environments, where unfortunately you kind of know, and you're looking at a world that there's nothing that really it moves or interacts with anything in any way, so it feels like you're dropped into a just setting, you're dropped into a box that doesn't feel alive,
Yeah, no, it feels like a 360 game.
And
it feels like overtly like a 360 game. Actually, it kind of looks like, with the way the aliasing works on DLSS on my PC, it kind of looks like a PS3 game. It looks like it should live alongside Lost Odyssey and Folklore, if you remember that game.
Folklore, barely, not really.
It's a little more obscure, but it's got those vibes on it.
Because I think what you kind of end up with, and there's these little bits that suddenly make a difference, right? But like when your environment is littered with a whole lot of things that you walk by and kind of walk into and touch, but nothing moves or nothing really feels like you interact with it. It's the problem I had with Mortal Shell, right? Where you're like, outside of a couple of things, everything is just baked into the world. No interactable objects fall over with physics. Nothing really happens there. And it's not necessary. But it adds to a feeling of like this whole world is not alive, right? Pile of jars is just doesn't move at all. That hut is a part of the ground. It's not really a hut, and the little things that happen in I don't know, like a random, not even this gen, but like last gen games or so, like in a random, say, FromSoft thing or whatever, to just compare, or even like any game where you see like a building that, like, I don't know, it might blow up, right? Or you might see like a door that like explodes some way, or you might see like jars that you run into that fall over, rolling through jars in a Souls game even adds a little bit of like, the world is here and there's objects in that world. And because here you just kind of walk up to things and press square, it doesn't feel like the world is alive.
Well, I think you're completely right on that. And I think that is absolutely a factor of like their budgetary concerns, because
reasonable
improving that would have cost like a lot.
Yep.
But it's a really good thing that as you were describing that, I'm like, oh, you mean it feels like static and lifeless, like, I don't know, a painting?
Yeah, I mean, you could go with that part of it. But I think for sure, if anyone, and the thing is, like, I've gotten a bit here, but if you have played I guess like asset flip Unreal games, you end up with this sort of feeling,
I feel that's like fairly unkind.
But no, it's not to compare the fact that they've grabbed like this is a artistic like masterwork with like how awesome the original things they're creating are. I'm not comparing it to say that like you grabbed someone else's work and just stuck it in there. What I am saying is that, like, again, with Mortal Shell, that's a great comparison point. A big, beautiful, empty area in that game where there was nothing that moved or that you interacted with or so, and so you kind of felt like, I'm dropped as a piece into this world, and let's go find all the lights and press square on them, And it's not at all an important thing in the grand scheme where you're like, we're talking about reasonable budgetary restrictions on excellent games. But I don't want you to focus on the bad part of the implication of me saying asset flip creation. It's more the part where you're like, if you grabbed a level, much like if you were to have like whatever, it's Hire This Man, Sonic, Kirby, Mario running through a beautiful, field or whatever. That field is also kind of empty with nothing going on. There's a tree there. You hit it, it just kind of sits there, and there is an effect in earlier games and current games where by having little things that move and break and exist in the world, you just kind of like feel more like you're in that setting as opposed to, I'm almost lacking the full words to describe it, but that's exactly
the word is ambiance.
Not ambiance, no.
No, that's not what I said.
But that's kind of it. That's kind of it,
No, you're talking about that like minor detail, place and realism, right? Like
yeah,
just like you'll see like, let's take like a tree in some fucking whatever game, and like just the fact that the tree just kind of wiggles just a little bit in wind that's not really there gives it a more sense of place rather than being like completely static.
Yeah, I would definitely say something like that. Or, or like things that react to you moving around, there's another example of this, and I've seen this as a trick in other games as well, where there's a point where you have to run across some logs that are floating on water, right? And you have to balance to not fall off. And when you're running across the logs, you very quickly notice that actually the logs are static completely.
Yeah.
And everything is locked in the world in its exact location. The water animation is the only thing that's moving up and down to kind of make it give the impression that the logs are bouncing, but they're not, And so you see it up close and you're like, oh, okay, right. This is a more affordable trick for this, where the water dynamics will sell the idea that you're watching a log bouncing on the water, but it's an illusion up close,
I feel like, this is like at its core like fairly nitpicky, and like I do believe that they made
Super
like
minor.
the correct decision to cut all that fluffing it up for like more, or just tightening it up. But there's kind of like this energy of like guy who loads up shooter and like fires 400 bullets into the ground and goes, look, the decals are disappearing. It's fucking Sony loses, or like those fucking guys.
I know who you're talking about, but I'll say that like I assure you, like when you run from one environment to the other, and as you're taking in these beautiful moments, especially, right, that because that's the kind of thing is where like when you enter a new environment and you're sold on like how gorgeous the vista you're looking at is, and like whatever's happening that's unique to this place, right? So like the underwater place, you see like you're not underwater, but weirdly underwater fluid dynamics are occurring, which are beautiful.
I would like to stop you right there, and I want to give a shout out to Monster Hunter World and now this game to be like, you know what fucking rules? Fake underwater environments.
Right.
Like I'm a big fan of fake underwater environments. Yeah, I don't have to deal with water. I don't have to deal with swimming. I don't have to deal with breathing. But like, oh look,
it's the aesthetic
fish
of that
and shit. Like I love it.
And then entering another area where like the beautiful things you're seeing off this cliffside or at these rocks or this formation of elaborate construction and manners and such. There's all of these that are. You're walking into them and they're gorgeous to look at. You can god damn it, stop it, leave me alone.
What'd I do? I'm sorry.
I got assaulted by Windows. It's okay.
Oh, fuck off, Windows. Windows keeps telling me, hey, you turned your location off. Do you want to turn it back on? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Why would I want to fucking do that, you fucking bitch?
But all this to say that the more beautiful these new settings you enter, the more you start to feel what I'm talking about, right? Because you come across like more elaborate objects in the world and like lore related locations, and you're kind of like
it's a little stiff.
It's a little you're like look at this cool object that it does, nothing moves, nothing's
Mhm.
yeah. So that's kind of it though.
Do you want to hear what my nitpick is? If I wanted to fucking nitpick some part of this game's presentation,
Sure.
and it's a nitpick that I was fucking around with on my stream, and I was like, I kind of love this. I kind of love it. The absolute worst jumping animation I can remember, just like jumping straight up,
yeah,
just fucking weird shit,
and
the wrong momentum. It's super floaty, but it's also fast.
But it's there for certain platforming challenges that you're gonna need to platform to get.
I've already done a couple of them, and I can see that they're planning to escalate that shit on me dramatically.
You learn to run and jump. It's not made to be a platformer, but there will be platforming.
I love. This reminds me so much. I've talked about it on my show. I don't know if I think I mentioned it on the stream, but Iron Pineapple, the fantastic YouTuber who covers tons of Souls stuff, he said you can make a good game into a great game by making it suck a little bit.
Huh.
And like when I read that, I was like, oh, wait a second. I think he's gone to something here.
Interesting.
Because all the greatest things have just that part about it. This is like, fuck, I hate this fucking part. Oh, why has it got to be like this?
I get the spirit. I'm trying to think there because I'm like, how many games are actually like flawless, right? I mean, I don't know that.
None.
Yeah.
Maybe original RE4. Maybe.
Chrono
Trigger's flawless.
Do I have any problems with Disco Elysium? I don't think I do.
I had a minor issue with original release of Disco Elysium.
Yeah. No. The director's cut, voice acted. I don't think I don't think I have a problem with that game.
Occasionally, you can run into some fringe bugs that screw up your story progress, but I haven't.
Well, all this to say that it is there's that little bits of jank that you hit on, from time to time. And then there's things where you're like, oh, I didn't expect this detail here, but this is nice, such as going to camp and hanging out with your friends and having nice conversations and basically having a Baldur's Gate 3 little sit around.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's NPCs to talk to, and there's little people that can help you do stuff, and you can see it's big for a reason.
There's the upgrade guy, which is the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
There's your Withers standing right over there. Yeah,
floating skeleton, very Crimson Peak fucking skeleton with no face.
And then there's the little details where it's like, hey, you can remind yourself what you're up to, you can write in your journal, all that fun stuff, and then or just upgrade and chill. Little moments dedicated of like hanging out with the party, which love that there. Love it even in a smaller gameplay context, like in Darkest Dungeon, where everybody just takes a moment to like breathe for a second. Those are fun things that I hope RPGs kind of continue to do because, they weren't really a staple of the older like JRPGs, for example.
There's a little moment that I had on stream. The last thing I did on my show was I got the 4th party member.
Okay, cool.
And upon getting the 4th party member, I was overwhelmed with the feeling of like, oh, I know what games you like to play, whoever designed this character.
I wasn't sure.
I have played this system up to level 100 twice.
I see. Write it down because I don't know. I didn't recognize the system, but I was like, this seems it seems complex.
It's a cross between Reaper and Astrologian in FF14.
Oh, okay.
It is a cross between those two classes, almost like verbatim is a weird word here, but like even down to the graphical interface looks like the same like job gauge. It's ridiculous.
I will say this, that the trend of characters wearing their references on their sleeve continues, certainly. And it is awesome and obvious. Like, in other ways where they pull their inspiration from. And it's all cool shit we like, you know.
It doesn't have that feeling of, hey, you guys like video games? Cause we do.
I'ma just leave it right there.
Yeah, all right, perfect.
I'ma just leave it right there. They know. They 1000% get it. There's a moment I read like a thing that happens, and I'm like, I read about a system, and I'm looking at the system, and it's like halfway through the description, I'm like, okay, all right, we're done. We cooked. It's this is lock it up. We're done here. The game's unbelievable. So, yeah. Anyway, push on with that. That's a lot of fun. It's truly.
I'll continue.
And of course, yeah, we continue. But there's also the thing where, like you said, you throw the difficulty up, and then you get fights that'll last a little bit longer. But they're still
the random battles would be like one
hit. Yeah. And so this is also something I've kind of found where I was like, I kind of turned one of my party members into a beast god that is deleting the game.
Is it Mael?
I have turned Mael into a fight deleter, and it's a problem.
I'm not there yet, but I can see the path.
I mean,
the character is built to kill. She's Frog, dude. Like,
the stance system is just like, well, I mean, one, it's cool that she's doing all that Arya shit, that's all fun.
Yeah.
But like there's a sword you pick up, and it's like, start the battle in virtuous stance.
I literally just got her.
We were like, oh, you're giving me this early? I thought that would be the last thing if that existed.
So,
and you gave it to me now? Are you out of your mind?
I started to do I got the ability she has where she just stays in place and then keeps the stance.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I would just buff her with powerful and have her constantly skip her turns so she'd stay in virtuous, and I built up all her pictos to do more counter damage so that whenever she would counter, she would do a larger hit on her counter than anybody could do on their actual attacks.
Oh, it's cute that you're spending turns making her powerful. That's cute.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, like, the possibilities that come from putting pictos on and learning skills that are like, no. When the battle starts, right, and then you have her start first, and you see all of the available picto skills that you've put on them just pop up in one shot, and like a fucking list just goes where it's like, 50% more damage on okay, just sorry again.
What did you do?
I did nothing, but Windows is trying to be as annoying as shit.
Did you start the podcast with a PC that was like, hey man, you should update?
No. Firefox is deciding to do, for the first time ever in its life, a big loud notification. And that's
weird.
This has never happened before.
Well, so, I don't hear it. I don't know if chat hears it.
They do. They do.
The people at home. Oh, they do? Oh,
yes.
No.
So that's what's annoying. It has never done this before.
I swear it's never happened.
And this is really annoying because this used to be like Windows Edge style harassment and bullshit. This is the first time I've ever seen Firefox be like, hey, look at me, hey.
I can be like Windows Edge too.
God damn it, man. Okay, well, I think I've cleared the notification, so let's assume that that's going to be fine.
Who loves computers?
Regardless, you have a billion of these abilities on, and like a bunch of them are just stacking off each other, so you're like, the first thing you do is going to be brutal, and you start in virtuous, and then you also have the AP extra to start off with your final attack that you're supposed to build up to. You just start the round with it.
I'm gonna start
with it actually, and then like whatever's left standing, which is like nothing, is like, okay, well, just pick off the rest,
Let me ask you a question. This is very important. So, one of the things that I noticed when I was building up my characters is that when the item that just gives you another slot to equip things in, you could just dump them all into like one person if you fucking felt like it. You could just say fuck it, 99 to my L.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Which allows you to stack every single buff you've ever heard of on
Correct.
the same character.
Yes.
And bust the game open and like that. I'm going to assume that if and when you start to bust the game over your knee, the game provides you with something to test that strength.
There are a couple of tests of that strength. However, none of them so far have met up to the challenge, except for the one that I'm describing, which is go fuck yourself. Right. There is an insane go fuck yourself enemy that like that you start and it's like, all right, I got like 7 turns in a row coming at you first. And each one of these in any point of this sequence is your game over. So have fun. Solo character, right?
Okay.
And here's the bit. What if I told you that the game also starts going like, you've put a bunch of your points all on one character, have you? Well, What if you got extra benefits from having your character stand there by themselves, right? What if you had pictos that were geared around solo play?
Oh, the lone wolf picto.
The lone wolf build becomes a thing that is like encouraged if you want to go for it. And, you know, you've got the refilled Estus. You've got the refilled heals between saves. So you can spend a turn managing yourself if you need to. But, like, the ability to go in solo is very real and just have the party sit it out. And it doesn't take long, you know? So that's great.
Yeah, but then they're going to get all the XP and then they're going to get really big.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really interesting when I was fucking around. I'm like, because, you know, if a character dies, they earn like half XP from the fight and stuff like that. So my characters were getting a little uneven.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, you know what? If I wanted to even them out, I could just fucking Gustav, get out there by yourself. Just fucking do it.
Yeah. You know, I you know, in fact, I went with like characters that were uneven. I'd just have them go up first and, you know, push them for leveling up the balance and stuff. And if you start messing around with the move skill tree, you can start seeing like, okay, if you buy a line to the right, that's going to be more of turning them into a healer versus going to the left, and that's going to be
like Lune is a good example. Like each direction is like an element,
right? And then do you want them to be more support or more fire? You know, stacking damage over time and all these little things. And then so you, as you're doing what you're describing, you can switch them up to be like, okay, actually, let's have you become the heavy damage dealer right now. You know, so something great with Lune, for example, is a weapon where every time you take a gunshot, it fills an element stain at random. Yeah. So you can
Which means you can get her cash out like super fast.
Right. So you're like, fuck it. I'll waste 4 shots. Pop. Fill it up. Cash out, you know?
So what are you going to do? You're going to put the pictos on her that give her all these bonuses and stacking debuffs if she shoots people.
Or extra AP from the jump, which allow her to then afford 4 bullets and the cash out. You know?
Yeah, no, the system is incredible. Like just the amount, I'm not even that far, but like the amount of shit that you can push and tweak and fuck with. And like every time I pick up a picto, I range the gamut from, oh, that's okay, that's pretty good, to, ooh, that's interesting.
So something about that too is when you grab your pictos, the learning process is one where you're like, it's only 4 fights, therefore always equip it and learn it, right? Especially because your whole party members.
4 fights, you can do that in 10 minutes, less, like 5 minutes,
right? And everybody gets the access to that skill. Always do it. So you learn everything, and because you're constantly incentivized to switch things over to learn them, you're always going to look back at like, okay, I pulled off this expensive skill to put on this one that I'm probably not going to use as much, but I want to learn it, and now I have some refunded points to go rearrange their skills, and it feels really great to know like my build works with half of the points I've spent dedicated to, Gustav's offense, locked in place. So I have another 8 points to just put wherever I want. And like that's nice because you're kind of it's reinforcing this thing where you're like, okay, cool, you're encouraged to play around and stuff, and so eventually you go like, all right, what's the most expensive picto that I don't want to lose points on while rotating the other two out? I'll give that to him, right? So it costs 10 AP in order to have him start out with his base attack be 50% stronger. Lock that in place. You'll always rock that, and then you'll rotate the other two. We'll take the refund on AP points and just be like, what if we made our build about the gun? What if we made shooting super cool?
That is the total opposite way of how I've been building my characters. I've been building them in a completely different way. So what I've been doing is I go to them and I go, listen, what weapon do I have equipped right now? Like Gustav, your weapon is B and C on, I think, like Vit and like speed, whatever, right? And so I go, okay, what will give me the best bang for my buck? And I sort the pictos by defense value. And I equip the top 3 defense value pictos because that juices his stats up enormously. Then I look at what that has given him, and then I build the rest of it around whatever those happen to be at the time.
Okay. So do you also level up your stats according to the weapon you're maining for scaling?
Yeah. Well, what I've been doing is that I've switched to every new weapon as I've gotten it, and then I've chased the stats that the new weapon has.
Okay.
While keeping a baseline. I don't want anyone to be. Yeah, I haven't reset. I reset once.
Okay.
But like, I don't want anyone to have one speed.
Okay. I see.
So like everybody, like it's like,
gotcha.
One level is like purely into the stats this weapon has, and then the next level is the ones that I didn't do, and so on and so forth. So say like I had a level on Mael that was speed for a really long time, so she got a really high speed. But then I switched to a different weapon, and then I started leveling those substats because I haven't gotten enough yet to really lock in on like what I want. So I'm kind of generalizing it slightly.
So what you're doing, so that makes more sense then to have your defense value go up based on your pictos and then work around your weapon. For me, this is a completely different discussion because my defense stat is 0 for every party member.
So you're not going to equip any weapons that use the defense.
I give no shits about that, right? And
I saw that, and I called it. I'm like, oh, Woolie's gonna fucking go through this game with 0 defense.
0 defense, right? And I gave myself a bit of luck because I want to get my crit to 20 or so. Let's get that 20%. But for the most part, we're going.
My L has like fucking 45% crit right now.
And so the interesting thing, right? The interesting thing about doing it with 0 defense is, of course, your skill is is what determines your defense.
Yeah, parry or die.
Parry or die, right? And then what we also get is weapons where I look at it and I go, okay, what's the element on this weapon? Is it like something? Is it like earth and it scales with defense or so? All right. Do I want the abilities underneath here more than I care about the damage, right? So, like I described with Mael, starting in Virtuous Stance is the most important thing. So if this scales with defense...
everything is secondary to that.
Then fuck it, we rebuild for this weapon, right? The weapon has its unlockables. Those unlockables become the priority. You build your stats around that, and then you build the pictos around the existing stats, right? But in the absence of that, if I can get something that scales with health and agility, we're gonna just run that into the fucking ground and damage all day, And so what that has created is characters with I have the top 3 stats like pretty front loaded, but like I did mix in heavy luck for one of the characters who has a scaling weapon with luck that also has the abilities on it that I want her to have, tons of freedom in this system
so like my Gustav is based on defense right now, and what Gustav has mainly been doing is using items to resurrect the damage dealing characters when I fuck up the parry.
Okay. I have
and do breaks, you know, with overcharge and shit like that.
Well, I mean, one big suggestion I certainly have is, always make sure you give your character the ability to break something, right?
It's so fucking vital. That fucking boss that eats you.
Yeah.
I was struggling on that, and I was like, oh no, everyone has to be able to break.
Everyone needs a break, right?
It's unbeatable. This is a hard tutorial. This is a hard lock tutorial. You must learn how to do this.
Not if you're doing enough damage.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. You can play with 2 party members and be fine. But still, for utility purposes, give every character the ability to break something, and you'll notice on their skill tree that there's multiple things that can break. And then, if the break conditions are something that, is like have the right stains, then of course give her the ability to get those stains. If the break conditions are it has to be a marked opponent, give yourself the ability to fulfill those conditions, right? So pick a break and pick the ability to fulfill those conditions. And then second, I would say, give yourself a passive that is when you're not allowed to attack, or if you're hit with a status effect or something else going on, give yourself the ability to either buff the party or buff yourself, or something that's not an attack, and because there's going to be turns where you're like, shit, there's nothing I can do right now except manage, so those are the 2 things that I found have come in extreme handy. Yeah,
this game's incredible.
It is, and I'm really I'm scratching the surface on these Picto combinations and stuff, but the feeling is definitely there that it's like, oh, if you want to play around, you can spend more time. There's more experimenting you can do than fights provided to experiment with.
Well, it's like, well, basically, where do you want to spend your time? Do you want to fight and get really, really, really quite excellent at the timed gameplay, like the button presses? Do you want to fight your ass off and just give your characters more physical power and levels? Or do you want to go into these menus and just fucking play logic magician and create bullshit?
So something I described gameplay wise in FF7 Remake was one of my favorite moments was I was syncing up and getting really good combination juggles with the party while going through the Shinra building, and specifically Operation Rescue Aerith was playing, which is the sickest remix of Let the Battles Begin in that game, in my opinion. And right as the music hit a crescendo, I had 2 characters in the air in slow motion, and I'm picking the next skill, and I'm like, what do I want? Okay, Tifa's getting a juggle, and Cloud is jumping up behind, and I was like, oh, and it's just a perfect slowdown moment with the music and the violins going, and I was like, this game is fucking incredible, right? It was a moment just for me in that fight in the gameplay that was bespoke, and I feel like every single fight end in this game in Expedition 33
is trying to hit that,
is hitting that moment where you get you want to save up the big pop, you get the overcharge, or you get the big finale, and you land that last hit, you get the slowdown, and then the music switches over to the either hyper or denouement version of what it was. In some cases, vocals kick in on that level up screen, and the music, the fact that they just found somebody online that went this hard and is killing it, because every single theme you hear has an amazing end version as well, is perfect.
I believe the lead writer is also someone they just found on Reddit.
Yep. They are somebody who applied to be a voice actor, and then she ended up just meshing with the team and became the head writer. The whole thing. So there's this interview, right, that was done, and we have it as one of the notes. But Guillaume Broche, the director, basically just made this game online while being bored at Ubisoft during COVID. And the whole thing is they found a lot of people that passed the vibe check and were on the same page with creatively what they were going for, and those people ended up just taking bigger roles because it's like, okay, yeah, you want to be a voice actor, but you clearly have the same vision and idea and get it and have these good ideas. Fuck it, write it, let's go.
There's a real I think that the quote from that guy is that like it would have taken 25 years to make this game at Ubisoft because of the bureaucracy
of AAA. 100%.
And it's like, so like this person
to get started on the game, mind you,
like an extreme eye for talent, I'm getting from this. And they can't quite sell it other than you look cool, get in, but their eye for it is dead on. And so by just having total control and be like, yeah, whatever, you, and you.
And I can also
let's do it.
And you can feel with the composer that, you know, especially this is like the official gig coming off of being just like a random, you know, composer on SoundCloud. Go
check out my SoundCloud. Actually worked.
Yeah, but this is like the Mick Gordon, Casey Edwards school of like, I get to work on the cool thing. I'm gonna make more music than anyone asked for. I'm gonna be, you know, like you asked me for like 12 tracks, you're getting 150. And variants, and you're getting 3 or 4 or 5 albums worth, and like
here's 4 remixes of the battle theme for the one area. Why did you make 4?
You know, like I get that feeling of like, oh, they shot way above where anyone asked them to.
So now they're in the clear running for like soundtrack of the year, like already, and it's fucking May.
What happens when you assemble a team of people that snuck in to make the swinging good in Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
What if everyone on the team is doing that? Right? That's the thing here.
Well, there's a story about that that I think about quite often, which is the original development of BioWare. So, and Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, because BioWare used to be a medical technology company, which is why it's called BioWare. Right? And the 2 doctors had private practices as well as a medical technology company. So they were fucking crushing it and making dollars. And they're like, yeah, I want to make cool ass nerd games where money was the secondary concern. Making their cool ass Dungeons and Dragons games was the primary concern. And if we make some money along the way, so much the better. And like that focus of like, I just want to make something fucking cool.
Yeah.
And like I feel that coming out of Expedition 33. A bunch of people who just want to make a cool thing.
Passion. I mean, look, just the way that items are like rewarded in this game, where you walk through the basic level and you come across pictos left and right. And if you go a little bit off the beaten path, you might find like a really cool rare picto. And then when you fight some of these harder enemies that are around, you get a cool weapon for beating them. But if you really go out of your way and you scrape and you find the shops and challenges and shit on the fringes, almost always what you're getting is an awesome costume or hairstyle. You know? So you scrape and work to get the cosmetics, and I'm like, let's fucking play dress up. Hell yeah.
Let's play silly ass dress up.
Oh, I love the way my characters look. So I spent so much of the game initially with everybody like suited up in uniform, rolling as a crew.
Man, get to the max.
But once I got fun stuff for everybody, I'm like, yo, let's just start playing fashion here, you know? And yeah, the mix and match, you know, is great. Like, fourth party member, I'm like, I like the default Expedition uniform, but I want that beret on, you know? I like the look of that. You know, you can mix the serious and goofy styles together to create some fun combinations as well. So that's been, I love that like the reward for some of the biggest challenges is exclusively cosmetic.
And it's thrown me for a loop that the cosmetics are like all out of order. Like there's absolutely no rhyme or reason.
100%.
So you get like Gustav's mime shit like right away, and I was under the assumption that then you would get Lune's mime shit, and then you would get Mael's mime shit. I was like, no, I have like 4 haircuts for one, and half a mime for another, and a burlap sack for one of the. Just like there's no way to plan for it or figure it out in advance.
Also, whoever's on your party, just tap R3 to switch to them as the running around active character. You know,
yeah, why not? Okay.
You can stare at Chrono, but you can stare at anyone else in that slot if you want to. And you know, when you talk to people, the right person will do the talking, as contextually required.
And sometimes it matters.
But for the most part, do you want to just pick Lune and like fly around instead of sprint? Okay, cool, do it. You know, it just allows you to just enjoy the style and fun of that stuff like immediately. Fucking
or do you want to run around
phenomenal.
playing as Bane of the Gods Mael?
She's
like,
so broken, dude. She's so broken.
I think it's on purpose. I pointed it out when I got her in the party, and she starts as the strongest member in the party, which is really fun when that happens. And I'm like, she has the Frenchest weapon. Therefore, she is the strongest.
Doing the fucking poses and everything. And yeah, and every time you do one of these challenges, like I said, you know, where you're like, time to learn the defense. I'm like, but as a person who loves these mechanics, how much are you going to punish me? Okay, I drop to the ground, clair obscur, and I'm standing back in front of the enemy. Like 10 seconds tops, right back in. Love that, you know? Incredible stuff. More updates as we get further in.
That game's incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited to see as you see more of it. There's some good shit.
Some wipeouts in this game.
Oh, there's some wipeouts and
there's some
wipeouts and there's some awesome you know, I mean, look, you start out with holy fuck, look at these badasses. They're so scary, they're so strong. You know, a classic shonen moment in any good like shonen we love is open the door, surprise, it's Itachi.
It's me.
The fuck you doing here? Where are the exams? You know? Jujutsu Kaisen, same thing. It's the exams. What the fuck you doing here? Ow!
I
Chaos arc begin.
That we establish I don't know what to call it, a Sephiroth character, a omnipresent mega threat to the party. And when they talk about them, it's not like, oh, I'm going to get them for what they did to us. It's like, if you see that dude, fucking run.
Don't.
Like, everybody just run.
That's what I'm talking about when okay, so that's what I mean when I'm talking about like dialogue, right? There's a like, okay, people will have feelings that say, no, get your revenge. No, I'm gonna, no. Listen to me very carefully. Don't fuck around. Get out of there. I don't care how you feel. Run. Like, there's an understanding.
And then, like, well, you're gonna run too, right? Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be running.
There's an understanding of the threat level, you know, in that exchange. That's what I mean, is these moments of like, movie trope, nah. Nuh-uh. You know, okay, all right, cool. As long as we're on the same page here. I love that. Yeah, it's great. Okay. Clair Obscur continues.
Hey, let me ask you a really important question about Clair Obscur Expédition 33. DO or E33?
E33.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I somebody in my chat the other day was like, "Oh, I've been playing CO," and I was like, "What the fuck?"
No.
What the hell?
Because I think one, Expedition 33 is there for English speakers to be able to say it. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Clair Obscur is extremely awkward for English speakers. It's super weird. So Expedition 33 is there. And I did see, like, you know, I saw like someone say like, oh, that name sounds really generic and whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, the whole thing isn't. But this part of it that is the brand is what you can do. And like, I don't imagine. I thought about this, but it's like, okay, the nature of the story is you go through this as you're learning about the world and as you're learning about the other expeditions, you know? So I don't know that, like, expedition number can necessarily be a franchise marker. I don't know that this is a setting that calls for.
Yeah, somebody asked me, like, do you think they're going to do sequels? I'm like, no.
You know,
this feels like incredibly hostile to franchisification.
Doesn't seem likely, you know, but that being said, you never know, and brand recognition is a thing, and if people know that word, then there's a monetary value to either using the word expedition or the word clair obscur, you know, again. And unfortunately, because of the plot being like, well, this is the number of the team, and we already kind of we're learning about the other teams in retrospect, it feels like the clair obscur word might be easier to translate to bring over to the next entry if needed. But I don't know, you know. What I can say though is that, like, E33 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sandfall Interactive.
Oh, what a great fucking game. What a great fucking game.
Please let this be the example of how development can go, you know, for other studios and people with like ambitions that are like at this level, you know. I
saw people comparing it to Baldur's Gate, and like I'm starting to understand it, because it's like it's just a team that just got to do whatever the fuck they wanted. That's it.
Driven by passion. That's
like absolutely no oversight at all.
Mm-hmm. Like people who know what makes for a good game, getting together and doing it without any of the red tape and bullshit to get through.
Like red tape and like I'm gonna take a weird point of defense here. Mm-hmm. Sometimes some teams need red tape. Like I remember talking to people who worked at BioWare Montreal who described that they never saw anyone from EA walk into their office once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe they should have sent someone over there
and
figure out why they weren't making the game.
Also, we are going to talk about there is a little bit of Silksong news, for example, and there's another time where, hey, you might need some tape, right?
Maybe somebody cracking a whip a little bit, just like, hey, fuck.
You might need some tape. However, Sandfall Interactive, this company of clearly passionate devs that got together and made a AA experience that we're all loving, while understanding what makes for good games, and, you know, keeping out the chaff and having what's there be on point. They also have I'm sure a department that handles marketing. I'm sure, you know what I mean? They have a department that they have deadlines. They have all these things. Like somebody ran and made all these decisions. So we can't just act like, you know, it's not Studio HDMR, you know, that made Cuphead. It's not like two brothers and the.
Have you ever read about like Valve's fucking office structure and how awful it is to make games?
I remember the Valve handbook with the moving around and the
it's the fucking your desks all have wheels on them, and so people are just constantly reorganizing according to their whims on various projects.
So I don't think that's inherently a bad idea, especially because the main thing, like I read the handbook, and like we can see how the flaws of that come to fruition over time with you know how many products come out and what the focus is on.
Short-term gains are so much higher prioritized than long-term gains.
But on paper, I don't think that philosophy is inherently flawed, because the other condition they had was that hiring is of the utmost importance, and you need to hire people that can essentially be not only your replacement but better than you. So in theory, you're having people that are more skilled, that could be your own like boss or manager, join the company, or people that are like, if you're an artist and you're looking to work with other people, you're going to hire up above you essentially, instead of a top-down kind of dynamic. And in theory, the person that joins would be able to like have a massive benefit that they add being a part of the team, you know. And that comes from, I guess, like being like, well, I think this game needs this really cool thing, and then you hope that's the end goal. So on paper, right? But I think here with at least with this team, like, no, we know that this is a team of, you know, as they said, it was like what, like 70 people or something like that, or.
So there's two numbers. One is 30 people and a dog, and the other is 84 people and a dog.
Okay.
And the question is, are you counting outsourced QA?
You didn't even have to say
work
it.
inside the team.
I guarantee you that number means QA testers versus...
The dog is definitely a full-time studio member, and in fact has a special thing inside the game for it.
Sweet.
I don't know if you found it.
Not yet.
Start. I'm just gonna type it out to you.
But yeah, that number makes a lot of sense when you include outsourcing. Okay, interesting. Ooh, that's something I did not know.
Isn't it?
Ha! Wow! Fuck! Shit! Time to go find out some shit.
Isn't that cool?
But yeah, no, this is a team that clearly, like, you can't pretend this is, it's not 4 people putting their own indie thing out, like, completely absent of any production, marketing, or
you know what's gonna happen?
Decision making.
I don't get it. Like Ubisoft, like straight up, Ubisoft could have made this game like 15 years ago, like this exact game. And but their structure prevents them from being able to do it.
So if I'm not mistaken, didn't the attempt go into things like Child of Light?
Yeah.
Right?
But you didn't get enough time,
I believe,
to do something like Expedition 33.
Because I believe Child of Light and a couple other things they released back then were attempts at having indie-style development teams work and essentially just be published as a Ubisoft thing, but hands-off development.
The way that I heard it is that Child of Light and things that came out under that like period in Ubisoft was like basically a please don't quit game for developers on Assassin's Creed duty. That it was like, listen,
you're allowed to put your passion over here.
6.5 years of Assassin's Creed games, and you're about to walk out the door because you feel totally unfulfilled. You know what? Fine. You get a year, you can make anything you fucking want, and we'll put it out.
Let's create a receptacle for your passions. Yeah.
And then you're gonna go right back on a fucking Assassin's Creed.
I see. But obviously this is the things where when you see these standout examples of, like, incredible success coming from modest beginnings, the producer, the AAA, the quadruple A studio wants to figure out how to reproduce this under their oversight, and the answer is you fucking don't. You can't. You will not relax. And I think that the studios that have the best shot at that perhaps are maybe your New Bloods type of thing, your Annapurnas, where you're kind of like, you're showing up to basically like publish a thing that was moving without you.
Mm-hmm.
And not
can we put our name on this? We helped.
Yeah, and not the, like, you are room 15 in the mega complex,
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
I don't want to work in the mega complex. My creative is,
well, do you have
ideas?
Well, do you have mouths to feed and rent to pay?
Yeah.
Well, the mega complex offers you some security.
Oh, stability. Oh, get me in that mega complex.
Until it fucking doesn't.
Oh no.
Anyway,
mega complex was supposed to protect me. How could the unfeeling mega complex do this to me?
Well, it's because it took all the predatory ropers and it protected them, and then it moved.
Oh man,
and it moved them over there.
Oh
yeah.